talk and everyone patiently sitting listening. One of the things that I'm quite passionate about is reproduction in general, and one of the things that we've been working on for a little while is this thing called the Calf Alert project. And just as a bit of a background, it sort of eventuated or evolved, if you like, from one of the problems that the northern beef industry was facing, and that's where all the mystery breeders gone. And a bit of background to put it in context, I did a PhD. It took me quite a long time. I guess one of the things, the morals of the story if doing a PhD is don't pick a breed that has a 9-month gestation period.
They use mice.
But the point with that is that in researching dystocia for close to 10 years, one of the things that I thought might have been a problem up in the north was that dystocia could be a problem, and then this was back in the sort of the mid-ish 90s, and it became very apparent that there was not any data associated with that. We knew the breeders were not there, and this data here is coming from MLA had the cash cow project, and it's quite confronting really that we've got this running total, the discrepancy between male sales and female sales, and somewhere along the way there's between 600,000 and 1 million females that go missing each year in the northern, or at least in the Australian herd, and so really the turn-off should be the same unless they're dying, and so it doesn't matter whether you sell them early or sell them late, they should be there somewhere. So that's the background with the project. Now I hit the wrong button on that. We'll go over there. So one of the things that we wanted to do was very clear that there's no mechanism to identify where these losses are occurring. Could it be abortion or dystocia or poor maternal behaviour or predation or whatever, diarrhoea and vitamin deficiency. So one of the things that we needed was a mechanism in extensive areas to work out when a cow is calving, and then we could identify, was the calving normal or was there a problem? If there's a problem, then there's an opportunity to investigate, or if there's an abortion, there's an opportunity to investigate, so to try and work out what the concerns are. So what we needed was something also that had a good battery life. So this is the device that we've come up with, and the thing that or at least the stage we're at. Prior to this, there had been no device that was able to be put into a cow for a long period of time that didn't cause some sort of a irritation or a problem. So what we've developed is a device which is basically a container here that is able to contain any technology that we decide might be useful, that can go into a pregnant animal. It can stay there for 6 or 7 months as needed, so you could put it in at 2 or 3 months at pregnancy diagnosis, and then it gets evacuated at the time of calving. So the important points with this are that there's no switching mechanism. When we first looked at what we were going to try to do with this Calf Alert device, the initial thought is you need some mechanism to turn it on when the calving event has occurred. That turned out to be quite difficult. I guess other places had used a temperature differential as the switch. For example, it's in the cow, it's warm, goes out at the time of calving, it's cool. The problem is we're talking North Australia, it's feasible that it could be hotter outside the cow than inside the cow. So they're the sort of problems that we had to try and address. So the good news is that we partnered up with this company here called Taggle, and you'll find Taggle online. In fact, any of you that are at local, have a local water supplier will probably have a Taggle reader now on your water meter. They've got this wireless technology, low energy, and the important thing is we couldn't use things like GPS as you do with mobile phones, SIM or whatever the terminology is, as with mobile phones, because it takes too much battery power. So we needed something that we could effectively leave on all the time. While it's in the cow, the signal is weak enough that it's attenuated, but as soon as it gets outside the cow, it's still pinging away, and we can pick it up with terrestrial antennae. And so that's the device that we've currently designed. So that's still in the process of fine-tuning, but we're getting pretty good results with #1 retention rates of this device within the cow, and then coming out at the time of calving. So just a bit of an overview of what the Taggle system looks like. They actually are able to place antennae anywhere, and so they can put them on current Telstra towers if they're around, or otherwise you can have your own antenna put up, and it's basically a triangulation system, and these antennae can be 10 kilometres apart, so they can cover a lot of territory, and as long as you've got 3 antennae, you get the triangulation business, and you can get number one, a calving event logged in, and number two, a reasonably accurate location. So generally, the goal that we're trying to trim it back to is around plus or minus 20 metres. So that then gives you a fairly reasonable shot that if you send a jackaroo out on a quad or whatever, they should be able to track down where that calving event occurred. Or the other exciting technology potential is you've got the opportunity for a UAV, so an unmanned aerial vehicle with a camera in it, and you could send it over and do a lap around and say, yes, the cow's calved, cow looks good, calf looks good, no action required, or there is a problem, or the calf dead. Gives the opportunity from a research point of view to do a post-mortem and find out why it died, whether it was dystocia or some other event. So that's the goal, and so it's basically going to be set up as a sort of a run of antenna, setting up that network for the signalling. Then, just to show what it looks like, so we've got a couple of trial sites set up. This is one site set up in central Queensland, so pretty basic little number here. The antenna, you try and find a hilly site and a 15 metre minimum height. One of the things that we were just learning at this point is that the actual aerial, it works much better with the frequencies, or the wireless frequencies that we're using, if you don't veer off vertical by more than 1 degree, and so this one here is pretty apparently off more than 1 degree, bit of a dangle. So we weren't getting good signal. Fix it up, we get a good signal. So there's just learning opportunities there to improve it. The other thing is we had a bit of a rudimentary protection around that antenna, but one of the things that we came across was that pigs just enjoyed rooting up that area, and we were constantly sort of fortifying, if you like, the protection around that antenna so the pigs wouldn't get in and cause a big problem. But if you look carefully down here, this is the job. So this cow calved. That device was in that cow for just over 6 months. So she had pregnancy diagnosis done around about the 3-month period, and so came out. The device actually came out and started signalling just after the legs pushed through. So the device down there and the calf coming through. So we have sort of proof of concept that it's a functional and workable thing. Just needs a bit of modification with the signalling strength to make sure that we get good, reliable signals. But what was happening during this calving period is that I had Taggle set up with algorithms, and they were sending me little SMSs on the mobile phone. So number one, I could see that cow number 352 has calved, and we had Google Maps linked to it so that we could see the location of where that device was. So in theory, we could have gone reasonably close to, if we wanted to find membranes, if we got out there quick enough to get some membranes, or identify that, excuse me, that the calf was okay. So that's where it is at currently. But the thing that we find really quite exciting is that there's a lot of potential for this particular setup. Once you have the aerials up, and I guess the question is how much. Taggle currently from full commercial rates, probably not as much as you would expect. They're talking around about 8,000 to 10,000 to get set up with antenna systems, and that covers a lot of territory. So you're talking 100 square kilometres, is it, something along those lines, if you get them set up in a triangulation setup. But with the technology that's in the tag, in the device, we can make ear tags or collars, and we can turn that into activity meters or proximity meters. So very briefly, some of the things that we could do, we can use that as potentially an estrus detector based on activity, a little bit like the dairy industry has currently used for a long period of time, and something that we've done some work on, particularly associated with that. And the good thing, once you've got an estrus event, you might say, well, who cares when they're in heat if it's natural mating, but once you've got an estrus event, number one, you can determine when puberty is. Number two, you can determine if you've got the last estrus event that's logged for that animal, then potentially you've got a projected calving window in which to to focus your attention on the calving, so it helps to identify when that could potentially occur. If you couple that with monitoring bull activity in proximity, then if you can identify that bull 53 was right beside cow 123 at her last estrus event, it's not deadly accurate, but it might give an indication of parentage and the breeding of that individual. And then the other thing that we're interested in with regard to survivability is the role of maternal behaviour, so we can start to get links with maternal behaviour, and particularly if there's an opportunity to be ear tagging calves with these devices and working out proximity and how often the cow is beside the calf, and things like crashing and the so-called kindergarten effect that cows go through, and how that affects survivability. We've got the other thing that Taggle will monitor once you've got these things going is you could do high resolution rainfall monitoring, for example. So on a larger property, instead of saying, oh, we got 50 mils last night, you can say, well, the back paddock got 42 and the front paddock got 36 and the middle paddock got 65 or something like that. So you start to get really good resolution of where the rainfall is occurring, and then that can help sort of with pasture growth assessments, or at least predictions. They're also able to do dam level, and because Taggle are already monitoring municipal water facilities, so Golden Fields is an example of that in the local area, where the municipal water authorities no longer send out people to read the meters, they're just using these things to ping, and then they can get remote measuring of water. So you can do that with dams. The immediately really good thing about that is that once you start to get regular feedback on your flow rates, you can very quickly pick up leaks, so there's no more bore runs and things like that in the more remote areas. You can get a very early warning of leaks. They can also do turbidity, and there's probably no reason why technology can't be developed for even looking at things like toxins. And I guess blue-green algae is a sitter for something like that, high nitrogen and the toxins that may come with that. So with all that, it allows a big avenue for quantifying the metrics. And sorry if I've gone over time. Thank you very much.